I do is I usually just take this last piece off here.
So he's skinning the onion. He's going to use the strata of the onion to his advantage. But he's also going to keep...
But I think I'm going to wait for Tony's cue to hit the thing. Okay.
The Board of Commissioners meeting is now called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Fradum,
Present.
Maras Castillo,
Here.
McDonough,
Here.
McGuire,
Here.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Here.
and Carter.
Here. Commissioner Fretham, would you please do the Pledge of Allegiance for us?
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have our December 21st meeting agenda before you for approval. Is there a motion?
So
Move
moved, Madam
approval.
Chair. I'll second.
Thank you for the motion and second. Will the clerk, if there is no further discussion on the agenda, will the clerk please call the roll?
Fradum,
Aye.
Maras Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
and Carter.
Aye. Thank you very much. The agenda has passed and the minutes of December 14th are before you. Is there a motion?
Move approval. This is Victoria.
Second. Trista.
Thank you for the motion and second. Is there any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Fradum,
Aye.
Maras Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
and Carter.
Aye. Thank you very much. We are going to move on quickly to our COVID update. I'll call on County Manager O'Connor. Thank you.
Sorry about that, Madam Chair. Commissioners, thank you. I'm going to turn it directly over to Sarah Holly, Director of Public Health, who almost rescued me there while I was doing two things at once. Take it away, Sarah.
Good morning, Madam Chair, County Commissioners, County Manager O'Connor. Since last week, Omicron has become the dominant COVID variant in the U.S. It's accounting for 73% of new infections. That is nearly a six-fold increase in just 1 week. As of last Thursday, the first case of Omicron was identified here in Ramsey County, the 8th in the state. We should assume that there are many cases of Omicron statewide. Minnesota has one of the most advanced genotyping programs in the nation, but this is a new variant and is clearly moving quickly nationwide. According to the CDC, current increases in Omicron cases are likely to lead to a national surge in the coming weeks, with peak daily numbers of new infections that could exceed our previous peaks. And with the upcoming holiday gatherings may further accelerate these trends. So the CDC also says that people that are unvaccinated are 20 times more likely to die from COVID than those with a booster. One of the main reasons me and other health officials locally and across the nation continue to urge the public to get vaccinated and get boosted as soon as possible, given the concerns over waning immunity. Current research on Omicron suggests that a 2-dose mRNA vaccine plus a booster is the best way for us to protect ourselves. And as we head into the holiday weekend with appointments full the rest of the week at our own sites, we urge everyone that is eligible for a booster to make an appointment at the Mall of America this Wednesday and Thursday so you can get your shot along with any last minute shopping that you may be doing. Today, I just want to ask everyone to continue to do their part. Again, get your COVID-19 vaccine as soon as you can. If you're eligible for a booster shot, get one now. You can go on the MDH website and find many sites that are offering vaccines and boosters. Everyone in Ramsey County and in Minnesota should wear a mask in public indoor settings. I can't stress that enough. If you're with family this weekend or over the holiday or in the coming weeks or really coming months, please wear a mask indoors. Whenever possible, stay 6 feet apart from people who you don't live with. Avoid crowds in poorly ventilated indoor spaces, and consider getting tested before indoor gatherings. If you're sick, of course, or have symptoms, stay home, right? And then wash your hands often with soap and water. Use hand sanitizer if soap and water are not available. So just some really key mitigation strategies that I want to continue to stress here each and every Tuesday. Now I'd like to turn it over to Incident Commander Laura Anderson.
Good morning, Chair Carter, Commissioners, County Manager. I'm going to ask Mike Lindsay to briefly share our situation update. If you could tab over to the case dashboard first, Mike, that would be fantastic. Thank you. And go ahead and scroll down. As Director Holly has described, we appear to be slowing down in terms of our Delta activity, right as Omicron is surging forward. If you could scroll down a bit further, Mike, yeah, you'll go ahead and see our case rate around 372 per 100,000 here in Ramsey County. One of the lower case rates reported across the 7-county metro, but it's certainly nothing to brag about when you take a look at our numbers previously in summer months when we were able to reduce some of our mitigation measures. If you could scroll down a bit further, Mike, you'll go ahead and see that the positivity that Director Holly also described, sitting at around 9% for those who are testing locally. Now, Mike, if you could move over, to that vaccine dashboard, that would be great. And go ahead and scroll down. We are sitting at about 77% of residents who are 5+ having received at least 1 dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. 81% of residents 12+ have received at least 1 dose, but we certainly need to push forward with those numbers, specifically with 5 to 11-year-olds who are, as you all know, newly eligible. We have been offering boosters at our sites starting on October 9th. As of yesterday, I believe we had given a little bit more than 2,300 boosters at our public health department clinics. Mike, if you could scroll down a bit further, let's take a look at, doses administered. Thank you very much. This past week, we continued our work with local community centers, school districts, the Consulate of Mexico to provide vaccine on site. Just a reminder that we are providing first and second doses and booster shots for all 5+ at those sites. We're also providing boosters and first and second doses through clinical services, through correctional health, through a pretty innovative partnership with our social services and immunization programs. We do go ahead and provide homebound vaccine every Wednesday. And we also have vaccine provided by our family home visiting team. If you could scroll down a bit further, Mike, you will go ahead and see that a little bit of a spike, frankly, in terms of doses provided locally. Last week, I believe we gave about 1,300 doses. This week, which does include some holiday time, our intention is to provide about 1,000 doses. And just a reminder of our local priorities, pediatric vaccine, as well as first doses to any adult who is currently unvaccinated. And then finally, boosters for everyone 16+. We are continuing to offer a first dose incentive. It's a $50 Visa gift card at our clinic sites. We're excited to continue to provide that $50 incentive throughout January at least, or as supplies last. Our team has partnered with the communications office. We're actually, I believe, just this week, residents of Ramsey County, more than 20,000 individuals will receive a direct mailer that promotes our vaccine clinics and also describes that $50 gift card that is available for first dose audiences. Our big emphasis for that direct mail campaign is on zip codes where we continue to see lower levels of vaccine uptake. We've also been working with our outreach team and partners in research and again, communications, as well as the Equity Action Committee to go ahead and scope messaging specifically for residents who may continue to have some reservations about vaccines. So messages around mitigation efforts for holiday gatherings, messages for kiddos 5+, doing our best to directly contradict misinformation that's out there about vaccine and pregnant persons as well. So I will go ahead and pass the mic now to Dr. Ogawa. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Incident Commander Laura Anderson and Madam Chair, Commissioners. As Director Holly mentioned, we are seeing Omicron, the new variant, rise dramatically faster than even Delta. And this is what we expect with each of the variants, that it will become potentially more and more infectious. We think it's probably more than twice as able to be passed than Delta. And so we expect that those numbers will continue to rise at a sort of logarithmic rate. There is some good evidence. Well, here's an interesting situation where I'm saying something positive these days and hopeful, but there is some evidence to suggest that it may be a milder infection in some, but I would caution that it's especially in those who are vaccinated. And so while the media, again, is talking about it may be milder, I think they need to be stressing that that's in vaccinated individuals is what we know best, and that it may still be quite severe in individuals who are unvaccinated. We know that the booster does improve antibody response and raises our ability to fight the variant as well. However, we also know that the variant has a number of changes in its protein, surrounding protein. And so we're not sure if it will begin to be able to evade our vaccines. This leads to also the question often as to whether or not the monoclonal antibodies that have been created specific to previous COVID infections will work against Omicron. What's difficult is that the way that monoclonal antibody treatment works is that it blocks the virus from being able to attach to our cells and then invade our cells and then replicate. So the idea is that the monoclonal antibodies sort of block it from getting into our cells, and then it can't reproduce. There is some evidence that they also neutralize the virus as well. The issue now is that those antibodies may not be able to block Omicron as well because it has much more changes in its protein coat. And so some of those viruses some of the virus still may be able to get in and replicate. But we're hopeful. We also, the medical community is continuing to look at other treatments, other ways also. More importantly, with the messenger RNA ability, we can plug and play. Omicron is now mapped, and we can hopefully put that same messenger RNA into a new messenger RNA vaccine and get it out to individuals and get them boosted specifically against that virus. So those are some of the things that we thought you might be interested in, and I might be able to comment on, but as usual, we're available for other questions as well. I'll turn it back to Director Holly.
Thank you, Dr. Ogawa and Team Commander Anderson. I will turn it over to County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you. Thank you to the public health team. I'll just close with a note. We don't have vax testing data today. We continue to face COVID as a disrupting factor in our own organization, and we have some folks out. And so we'll get that information again, starting back to you, but progress continues to be made in our own steps forward and the continued process along the implementation of our policy as we work also to make sure we're consistent in how we approach and comb through the data, as we mentioned last week. I saw a stark reminder, I'll end on a negative note, the national landscape, it was in the New York Times in the year in charts this year, more people died of COVID in 2021 than 2020. And I think that's just an ever-present reminder this pandemic's a long way from done. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you all. I see Commissioner McDonough has his hand up.
Thanks, Chair Carter. Real quick, I just wanted to maybe have you talk a little bit about testing. We're trying to do a small family gathering for the holidays. One of the things we're trying to do is make sure everybody gets tested like a day or two before the event. But everybody's finding it difficult to find a spot. They're booked out. They're limiting testing to certain populations. Is that still a recommended tool here as far as getting tested when you are going to be potentially gathering? And if so, are we looking at trying to find more ways to provide opportunities for testing? There were some spots that were 3-4 weeks out just for a test. And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Madam Chair, Commissioner McDonough, I'll take that question and then turn it over to Dr. Ogawa or Laura. So I just heard recently on the news this morning, they are expanding times at our Roy Wilkins sites and the convention centers here, probably in Minneapolis and in St. Paul. And so I think that will be an option, Commissioner McDonough, Madam Chair, for many people, because I think one of the things that I learned very quickly, even just from the news yesterday, is, we're seeing the East Coast even seeing challenges with testing availability. People are waiting up to an hour or two just to get a test. And so that is one of our key mitigation strategies, Commissioner McDonough, Madam Chair, to get tested if you're thinking about gathering with friends and family over the holiday. And I would say not just if you're gathering over the holiday, but make that a routine part of our mitigation, right? Ongoing, I would say. And that's one thing that we talked about very early on as our kiddos were going back to school, that we were really recommending that people get weekly testing. So we know that people are now in more indoor settings. We're gathering more, our kiddos are back in school, right? So I would just recommend that people make testing a part of what we do. But as we head into the holidays, I would look into some of the larger testing sites here in the metro area, if possible, to see if you can get a walk-in appointment at those sites. But I did hear that on the news this morning that they are opening up more testing, I think, across the state. Dr. Ogawa or Anderson?
I was just going to piggyback on that a little bit, Chair Carter, Commissioner McDonough. Thanks for the question. I think testing continues to be a main way for us also to find cases before they are symptomatic and or before they expose individuals. There's a lot of conversation now about the easy at-home antigen test kits. While they're not ideal and they're not perfect, they are available and they're going to hopefully become more available. My understanding is President Biden is going to be using the More Powers Act again to increase the creation of more of those tests. Again, I recommend that these, though, be used in, just as Director Hawley mentioned, a regular testing schedule. So these are best, the antigen tests are best used when weekly, twice a week, things along those lines, because of the risk of false negatives and because of the need for a higher viral load in order for them to turn positive. So I do think we're going to have a lot more options in the future, or at least more availability of tests. They aren't all going to be PCR, which is still the gold standard, but they will be, reasonable to continue mitigation. Just going to make a really quick plug about, as a public health official too, for those individuals who are doing the antigen tests at home, that when they're positive, the recommendation is that you do inform the state health department. It does help us because we don't want individuals testing positive and then us not seeing those positives. So just a little plug, follow the instructions for real and try and please report those positives as well.
Thank you. Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to follow along the same line of questions because like Commissioner McDonough, and I'm sure most of all of you we're wanting to have holiday gatherings this week. And so we said, well, let's everyone get tested before we go. And as you have said, it's difficult to find testing kits and to make appointments for sure. So I, of course, was able to find a few over-the-counter ones at Walgreens, I think, before they ran out. So I have the 2-dose one, which I think you've said is the most effective. And then I bought a couple of the single-dose ones. But then I also heard, we're all listening to the news as well, that some of these aren't as effective at all. So is there a list of ones that aren't effective, and are they still selling them? Like, I don't even know if I bought the ones that are even effective or not. And we know that these only test for positive. They don't necessarily, they tell you if you're really positive, but they don't tell you if you're carrying it or, they're not totally accurate. So it gives us some degree of comfort, but not a lot of comfort. So if you could comment on that, then I'll have a follow-up, I'm sure.
Chair Carter, Commissioner McGuire, I wish I had a list of all of the ones that we knew were counterfeit or otherwise. It's tough, I've got to admit. We do know that the makers within the US of the Binax now, Abbott, a handful of the other ones, are the ones that have been granted specific emergency use authorization. So my best answer to you would be to stick hopefully with the brands and the companies that we're familiar with. It's a little bit tougher. For me, I know there was one out of another company, and now I also can't remember its name, but specifically they thought that its false negatives rate was considerably higher. And so that was a concern. My best response to you is, even the ones that say they're a single use, really, you should do a test and then 2 days later you should repeat the test in the same individual. And that's how they were all designed. And so regardless of which one it is, it's really best to do 2 tests separated by 24 to 48, or by 48 hours. And that's how we make all of them a little bit more effective at catching infection.
So we should we should not be testing the day before. We should be testing 2 days before and then the day before, I guess. So within a day apart. Okay.
Yep.
And these tests, these tests are not cheap. I just want to say, everybody who hasn't tried to buy them, they're $24 for the 2-dose and $10 for the single dose. So that's what made me a little confused. So I bought 2 of the single and 1 of the double, and we'll see what we do. But okay, so we're just still discussing this with our family, as you know, we've got varying levels. A lot of babies, so they can't be vaccinated. So we're not sure. My other question, thank you for that, Dr. Go. But one more thing. So you said the ones we know about. Is there a list of the ones we know about? Like, I don't know if I know about the ones I just bought. But anyway, if there's a list, just point me to that direction of ones that are good of the test.
While I
Madam Chair?
appreciate the questions, I just want to note that we have a huge agenda.
Yeah, okay.
Commissioner Reinhardt with another question. And I think we're going to have to move on and ask for a follow-up later. Commissioner McGuire, is that all right with you?
Well, yeah, I was just going to ask about other gatherings like theater productions where you get tested and where they require you to show an immunization card. Would you recommend us not going to the theater this week or next week because you're just getting tests, you're just showing an immunization card. It doesn't really say whether you're healthy or not. That was my other question.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Commissioner McGuire, I would recommend that you steer clear of larger crowded gatherings, right? Indoor settings, right? And so limit, especially as you head into the holiday, right? If you're gathering with your family, you want to limit that exposure to other people, even if you're masked, even if you're vaccinated, right? So limit the spread, right? So that would be my recommendation if you can. And the WHO, the World Health Organization, is also encouraging people to rethink travel over the holiday. So if that says anything about kind of pausing, I think we need to take pause and really just be mindful of where we're traveling to and where we're visiting.
Thank you.
We're back there.
Madam
again.
Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Reinhardt.
I just wanted to note that I believe that I've seen some, if the ones that say FDA approved, I would think would be okay. I don't know, of the tests.
Thank you.
Of course, they could lie about that, but I think that would be a little tough if they put it on their thing. So that was just a clue that I had.
We won't take a lot more time for questions because we have a lot on the agenda, but I just want to appreciate our public health staff coming forward today with this update. And I would ask if County Manager O'Connor has any additional comments.
Madam Chair, I'll just close it out. I wish I could end the year on an optimistic note, but we haven't come down from this Delta wave, which is now transitioned to an Omicron wave. And you heard the science and data today. People are tired. I want to acknowledge that. And at the same time say, like, it doesn't change our approach just because people are tired and want it to end. We're going to do what we can to maintain public health. And we appreciate the board's ongoing support to support the public health department and their guidance that they get. It changes over time. We learn as we go. That's how this works. But that's also how we keep people as safe as we possibly can. And then we sleep better at night knowing we did the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a few moments to contemplate this difficult time we're in and our COVID moment of meditation. Thank you. Thank you, and we'll move on. Commissioner Fredlin, would you lead us through the administrative items?
Absolutely. I would like to move item 3, personnel complement increase to support violence prevention initiatives through the American Rescue Plan Act. Item 4, designation of a position to unclassified service in accordance with the Personnel Act, Minnesota Statute 383A.286, subdivision 3. Item 5, designation of unclassified deputy director position in the Housing Stability Department in accordance with the Personnel Act, Minnesota Statute 383A.286, subdivision 3. Item 6, single source agreement with Think Small for administration of the basic sliding fee childcare program. Item 7, financial assistance service department annual authority for procurement requests. Item 8, Social Services Department Annual Authority for Procurement Requests. Item 9, Community Corrections Annual Authority for Procurement Requests. Item 10, Grant Award from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety for Sexual Assault Services. Item 11, Ramsey County's Parks and Recreation 2021 Competitive Equity Grant Awards. Item 12, grant applications to the Minnesota Department of Transportation for safe routes to school funding request for the Kohler Road Trail Project and the Lexington Avenue Rectangular Rapid Flashing Beacon Pedestrian Crossing Project. Item 13, amendment to sole source agreement with grantanalyst.com LLC DBA Zoom Grants Technology for online/cloud-based grant application management technology. Item number 4, obligation of American Rescue Plan Act funding towards deeply affordable housing projects.
Paul.
Item number 15, agreements with the cities of Arden Hills, Falcon Heights, Little Canada, North Oaks, Shoreview, Vadnais Heights, and the Township of White Bear for law enforcement services and a personnel complement increase.
Paul.
Item number 16, 2022 salary rate for the Ramsey County Sheriff. Item number 17, 2022 salary rate for the Ramsey County Attorney. Item number 18,
Paul.
Item number 19,
Paul.
Item number 20,
Paul.
Item number 21, charitable gambling license with White Bear Township for Centennial High School football and Lucy's Burgers Holding Company. Item 22, amendments to Administrative Code, Enterprise and Administrative Services Department. Item 23, 2022 Ramsey County State Legislative Platform. Item 24, adoption of the Ramsey County 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
Thank you. Quite a bit of work and a number of items have been pulled. I'll call on, I'm sorry, let me first note that we have the motion. Did we have the second?
Yes.
And so we are going to be voting on items that have not been pulled, including all items except 14, 15, and 18 through 20. And so if there are comments on these, please raise them now. Otherwise, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll. Are there comments or questions? Will the clerk please? Oh, I'm sorry, I see Commissioner Mattis-Castillo's hand.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to comment because there's some really big, really important items that we're moving with historic investments in mental health and public safety. And so I did, even though we're not pulling them for longer conversation, I just wanted to raise and congratulate all the staff that put in really good work on this.
I appreciate that. And it's better that you did it today than I do because of my current vocal condition. But yes, you're right. There is so much good work here and thank you to all. And so without comment, I'll ask.
Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Fredtham.
I just wanted to thank our County Clerk Mi Chang for item number. There's a request for charitable gambling with Lucy's Burgers, and they worked really hard to figure out how to get that on there, and that's something that they're wanting to do. So thank you, Mi Chang, for getting that on the agenda.
Thank you,
Thank
Commissioner.
you so much. Thank you. So with those comments, we will move forward then to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Fredtham.
Aye.
Mattis-Castillo.
Aye.
McDonough.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
And Carter.
Aye. Thank you very much. And now those items have passed. I will call on Commissioner McDonough for item number 14. Is
First,
there a
I'll
motion?
move approval. I'll move approval.
Second.
Madam Chair, I've got three questions, and to be efficient, I'll ask all three, and then folks can take them. First one, when we first got the presentation from the county manager about our ARPA funds and our 5 priorities and how we were starting to align all this, we had a robust conversation about this eventually being $37 million. And I wanted to just get a sense of timing and where that is. I don't want that to fall off the table. Second question is just a brief conversation here on the 4 that we're approving. They range from 129,000 per unit to 269,000 per unit. And maybe about that, because, you know, I understand, I think everybody understands the buy down for deeply affordable housing is is comprehensive, but to have almost 225% difference per unit, I just want to make sure we're leveraging and maximizing our opportunity here, but then for everybody to get a sense of what's driving some of the differences in the buy down per unit. And then thirdly, just real briefly, we just approved the 2040 comp plan. In that, our affordable housing piece identifies just over, I think, 3,800 affordable housing at 30% AMI by 2040, and how we're connecting this to the comp plan and the details in the comp plan. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Commissioner McDonough, I will invite Director Collins to magically appear on screen if she can to answer question 2. I'll start by answering a little bit around 1 and 3, and then she can add to 3 if she would like. Specific to the $37 million question you led with around ARPA investment and the board, to remind everyone, mechanically, we did not take all 37 million out of the initial 53.5 million this year. We took the initial 17 million with the additional 20 to come then in May of next year. However, when I cited for all of you the obligated fund number last week that brings your ARPA investment to basically full, that included 37 million related to affordable housing as one of those numbers. Said differently, it is in the bank account. It is counted as fully funded. We're not spending that money on anything else. And I just want to reiterate that. So more to come once we get through May. On the comp plan, the way I would answer it is, as a non-day-to-day practitioner in the affordable housing world, would be to say, we see a need for 3,800 units. The investments being made by this board around 37 million through ARPA funds plus $11 million a year, hopefully starting with the HRA investment that you will approve later this morning, all are down payments on that 3,800 unit number. It does not in one fell swoop solve the issue, but it demonstrates significant, serious, and what we've seen over the last week as you look around the country, nation-leading investments in the idea that local governments cannot sit on the sidelines and still need help from other places as well. I'll turn to Director Collins if she can answer the question about the difference in pay downs and anything else she wants to add to the comp plan.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. Thank you, County Manager O'Connor. I'll just add to the comprehensive plan item as well. You know, we, as part of the comprehensive plan, most municipal comprehensive plans are required to guide appropriate land to ensure the development of affordable housing can be produced over the course of 10 years. And so we have those expectations built into our county comprehensive plan as well. So in addition to tracking against that unit kind of composition, we are ensuring that available land continues to be freed up across our county to make way for affordable housing now and well into the future. So it's kind of a yes and approach to building and preserving affordable housing. In terms of the unit composition and writing down the unit cost, the capital stack for each of those projects is different, very different. And Max Holdhusen, our housing development manager, and his housing kind of development team reviewed and did the kind of financial underwriting of each project. He's available and can talk a little bit about the unit kind of pricing there.
Thank you, Director Collins. Thank you, Commissioner McDonough and Chair Carter. So there are 4 projects here today, and there are a variety of different levels of subsidy provided for each project. We see our highest level of subsidy for the Lauderdale project. Lauderdale is working on a very difficult site in an area that does not see a lot of housing production. And so we wanted to provide a larger subsidy to help move that project forward in that community that sees very little new construction. Where we're seeing a lower amount of subsidy is at our more traditional developments in Mounds View and in our rehab project on the east side of St. Paul. Those had a more traditional pro forma. Our third project is the Frogtown project, which is a rehab of a city-owned site right off of Sherburne. This is actually developed by 3 nonprofits, Frogtown Neighborhood Association, Model Cities, and Hope Community. And so they're actually hoping to start it at 30% AMI, and over time, the residents of that program will enter into a homeownership program that they'll be running to help build up their equity within those spaces and perhaps even condoize them in the future. So really thinking about home ownership opportunities there. So that's why we see a higher subsidy both in the Frogtown one and in the Lauderdale.
Yeah, thanks for that, Max. And I just wanted to make sure not only the board here, but the public can get an understanding of the deliberate thoughtfulness that goes into this. And it's just not numbers we're grabbing out of the air. And there are other reasons that align with our values and mission on why but the buy down might look different. So I appreciate that. And then a real brief comment, and the reason why I brought up the connection to the comp plan is, my experience over 20 years here, cities and counties do a tremendous amount of work on their comp plans, and the community has a lot of input, and there's a lot of work. But once they're approved, they tend to collect dust, and I want to make sure, that our plan is living, breathing document, and to continue to push the cities to ensure that their plans are living, breathing documents that actually help drive and connect back to decisions that we make throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner McDonough. We have a motion and a second. Are there further questions on this item? And if not, will the clerk please call the roll?
Freda,
Aye.
Maras Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
and Carter.
Aye. Thank you very much. That motion has passed, or that item has passed, and we're moving on to number 15. Is there a motion and a second?
Move approval.
Second.
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 Thank you very much, Commissioners Maris Castillo and Reinhardt, I believe. I just wanted to note on this item that many of us have heard from contract cities and have responded to their questions regarding a linkage between state fair policing and contract city policing. We have shared that while we have concern for allowing them to move forward in their budgeting processes and they have signed their contracts, we are working toward approving that or seeing it on our agenda today. We also have shared with them that we have requested to work with them and the sheriff in a board workshop on contract cities policing. And we look forward to having that happen early in 2022. And with that, I note the motion and the second and ask if there are any further comments before we call for the vote on this. Thank you. Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you, Chair Carter. Just wanted to express my appreciation for the commitment for this discussion. Many of my cities and my township that I represent contract with the sheriff for public safety and policing services, and all of them and many of the community members I've spoken with are very happy with that service. And I think the question for us is more making sure that all of us who are involved in this process with us as the budgeting authority, the sheriff who is doing the service delivery, and our communities that are utilizing these services, that we all have the information we need to ensure that we're making good, smart decisions that protect our public safety and also our taxpayer investment.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Fretham. Are there any other questions or comments on this item? Commissioner McDonough.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Real briefly, and I appreciate the letter that was sent out and the efforts on your from you on behalf of the board here and the contract cities. I do want to just raise some concerns here. The history with contracting, with the providing the service to the contract cities, is they are standalone contracts that are a relationship between the sheriff's office and those cities. And they pay for the services that the cities provide, and it's a separate, actually driven service that the sheriff provides to those cities, and has not been connected back to other operations or other pieces into the county. So it's a little concerning that all of a sudden this is rising from the sheriff's office. And so I think, I've had to reach out from some of the contract cities, and I think it's a larger conversation, because that's a door that connecting how we provide services or how the sheriff provides services, the contract cities, to other items within the sheriff's budget is a door that really is a slippery slope here, and making sure that that stays pure and all the costs and the cities have the confidence of the costs that they're paying for and the service they're getting from the sheriff's department. So as we move forward, I think what you've laid out and trying to help bring some resolution, we're also recognizing there are cities that contract with other cities and police forces to provide services, and making sure that all the options are on the table so that we are not in a position to start opening doors to how services are provided to contract cities and maybe subsidized by other parts of the sheriff's budget or the county's budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McDonough. And of course, our finance director will help us as we guide forward in that regard. I see no further questions, and I'll ask for the motion. Will the clerk please call the roll? That is.
Fretham,
Aye.
Matas Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
and Carter.
Aye. Thank you very much. And that agenda item has passed. We will move on to 18 through 20, and I believe that we will be able to take them together. Is that correct? Is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would move all 18, 19, and 20 together.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on 18, 19, and 20. And I will refer to Commissioner Matas Castillo.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm pulling these three items, which are a repurchase for tax forfeited items, mostly because I have heard concerns from community about these particular purchase. They are owned by one owner, and so I'm just requesting some more information from staff so that we as commissioners can do a little more due diligence and take the concerns of the community. I know our staff has done their work, and I appreciate Heather Bessler and her team doing their work. But given that there are kind of opposing concerns on these, I'm asking for a little bit more time so that we can have just get more comfortable with these items. And I don't know if Heather wanted to speak at all to the timeline on this particular item.
Thank you, Commissioner Matas Castillo, Madam Chair. The department is comfortable with tabling these items. There's time to work through these concerns and to make sure that we are doing the right thing. And so bringing it back at a subsequent meeting is acceptable for the department.
Thank you very much for those comments. I'll look for the motion to table.
Yep, I'll move the table, Madam Chair.
All right.
Second.
Thank you. There is a motion and a second to table. Is there any further conversation? If not, I'll call for the vote. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Fretham,
Aye.
Matas Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
and Carter.
Thank you very much. And so our administrative agenda has passed. We have tons of work yet to do, and we're going to move on to policy items, starting with item number 25, which is approval of the 2022-2023 Ramsey County operating budget. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I would move approval.
Second.
Thank you for the motion. And second, Commissioner Reinhardt and Matas Castillo. I'll ask for any discussion on the item.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
I would like to first of all thank my Vice Chair, Commissioner Matas Castillo, as we went through this process this year, and just kind of give an overview so people understand the amount of time and effort and all of the considerations that go into this budget. So on August 24th, we heard from the county manager who provided an overview of the 2022-2023 proposed budget. The budget calls for a levy increase of 1.55% in 2022 and 4.54% in 2023. And I'd like to note that this follows, if you remember last year, we were scheduled to have a 4.5% increase, and we actually brought it down to 0. So this was not an easy task, obviously not an easy task last year, nor was it this year to keep it at the 1.55. There have been meetings with service teams on the proposed biennial budgets. They were held in September, as was the first public hearing on the budget on September 14th. We set the maximum property tax levy for the county of $338,743,612 on September 21st. And then on November 29th, we held our truth in taxation hearing on the proposed levy and budget. Today, December 21st, the county board is being presented with the administrative addenda, which includes final changes to the county manager's proposed budget as presented. The county board will also give final approval for the 2022-2023 budget, including changes in the addenda. We will also set the final 2022 property tax levy of $338,743,612. As we've heard from our service teams, county manager and CFO, this was not an easy budget, as I stated earlier. I'd like to thank County Manager O'Connor, the CFO Kutza, executive team members, service team controllers, and department heads for their work to craft a budget that strives to maintain critical county services while also balancing the impact of a levy increase on residents and businesses. I'd also like to thank the budget team. Oh my goodness, the work that they put into this. Budget Director Earl, Melody Santana Marty, Bianca Fuccini, Todd Topol, Steve Kuhn, and Tom Oak for their work to ensure a smooth budget process and to produce the budget materials for the board and the public to rely on to understand the county manager's proposal. And all of that, all of the information regarding this budget and the processes that we have gone through is included on the county website, the portal. If you want to dig deep into each of the items, you can do that. There's a lot of information, including answers to questions that have been raised along the way. Again, I just am so appreciative of the work that has been put into this. The deliberation of this board was phenomenal because we knew that we had some very, very serious issues that we needed to deal with in trying to balance things and knowing where funds were coming from. Property taxes is one part of that. There's also a number of other things that when you look at our agenda for today, you can see where all of the different things are and where we need to balance. And that's just an example. So this was not easy, but it was something that I know that we all took very seriously. And, you know, we have to balance the needs and make sure that we're taking care of the most vulnerable, which is one of our major, about half of our budget is in that area. And especially in these times, COVID, sometime we've got to get past it at some point, I hope. But I guess with that, I would just say, get vaccinated, get boosted, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership, Commissioner Reinhardt, as our budget chair. And for all of the other thanks you've extended, we appreciate it. I will call on Commissioner Matas Castillo, our budget vice chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I too want to echo Commissioner Reinhardt's comments about the work that our staff has done and to all of you on the board who have been actively engaged to make sure that we're carrying our values and our mission and making sure that we're backing that up with funding sources. Our team has been remarkable. CFO Kutska and your team, you have led very well through this budget in a creative way where you've looked at every penny. I've been very impressed with the way that you do the work, and I just want to congratulate you and your whole team on a really solid budget as we move forward. And then I just want to say, Commissioner Reinhardt, I have been honored to serve as your vice chair. It really has been such a pleasure to have you mentor me through this process and that you're always bringing the focus in every single budget meeting. She reminds us of our values here at Ramsey County and that we want to invest in our community. And so thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt, for that work as well. That said, I do think we need to make some very tough choices in future years. And so I want to just set that stage now, especially with inflation on the rise, that we need to make a serious effort to make the legislature understand that our situation is untenable and that our residents will not be able to receive the services that they expect and deserve going forward unless we have real meaningful increase to county program aid. And so I want to just say that here publicly that we do need help from our legislature. And I know that we've been trying to convey this message to them for many years without a lot of success, but we cannot let us become cynical, that we have to keep trying and that this is truly important. And I would encourage our community listening who is impacted by a budget like this to make sure that they're talking to our state and federal partners as well to raise these concerns. Because without their help, there's no other way that we're going to be able to meet the long-term needs without creating real burdens to our residents and businesses. On a lighter note, I do want to take a moment again to celebrate the fact that this budget contains a historic ongoing investment in the creation and preservation of affordable housing. I think that this is a real legacy for everyone sitting on this Zoom screen today or around our virtual table. We know that so many of the problems our residents face have their root in housing instability, and we know that our departments are fighting a losing battle to address many of those issues without our larger supply of housing that's affordable to our clients. And we have done it in this budget. And so I really want us to take time to celebrate that as well. I look forward to continuing to work with all of you to maintain and even expand this commitment so that we can create communities in which all truly can thrive. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And thank you, Commissioner Matas Castillo. Without further questions on this item, we are going to joyfully call for the vote. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Fradon?
Aye.
Matas Castillo?
Aye.
McDonough?
Aye.
Maguire?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
And Carter?
Aye. Thank you very much, and our budget has passed. We'll move on to item 26, which is the approval of the capital improvement program plan for 2022 and 2023. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt and Commissioner Matas Castillo. I know that we've already glimpsed this entire agenda, but I will check to find out if there are additional comments as we move forward on the capital improvement program plan. Thank you very much. Then without comment, I'll ask that the clerk call the roll.
Fradon?
Aye.
Matas Castillo?
Aye.
McDonough?
Aye.
Maguire?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
And Carter?
Aye. Thank you very much. The capital improvement program budget is passed, and we'll move on to
Chair.
the tax.
Madam
Yes.
Chair, I would like to note that we have a citizens group that really informs us on the capital improvement program, and I'd like to thank our staff and that committee for all of the work that they have done. It's a lot of time. I served on it prior to being on the county board, and going through all of that is time consuming, but also very rewarding. And so I wanted to thank the citizens group for the capital improvement program budget.
Thank you for adding that note, Commissioner Reinhardt. Thank you very much to our committee. And now we'll move on to the tax levy for 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Matas Castillo and Commissioner Reinhardt. Are there additional comments then as we move forward to approve our 2022 tax levy? Without comment at this point then, we've talked about it quite a bit. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Fradon?
Aye.
Matas Castillo?
Aye.
McDonough?
Aye.
Maguire?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
And Carter?
And thank you very, very much. Our tax levy is approved. We're at the conclusion of our policy agenda. We'll take a few moments to spin around the table for our board. I'm sorry, let me go first to County Manager O'Connor for County Connections. County Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Those 3 policy items that took 5 minutes represent about 6 months worth of our year. And so that's kind of how it happens at the end of a long process. But I want to add my thanks to everyone who's been a part of it and all of you for digging in and going through the process, for the community for showing up on the front end and during the process as well. There are challenges as we move ahead, but even in the context of concerns around inflationary costs around us, to see Ramsey County's general property tax levy increase in the bottom 10 of 87 counties in the state of Minnesota, being one of the 10 smallest, is a significant achievement of which I think we should be collectively proud. And Director Kutza, this was her first biennial budget for the county. She continues to operate in an organization where she's had like 4 weeks on site with everybody else before COVID. And so to be able to pull that all together and to take over for the previous CFO when he retired and be able to keep that moving in this way is impressive. Finally, I just wanted to give a shout out that Budget Director Earl welcomed a new child into this world at the end of this budget process. And I'm going to publicly come here and say congratulations to her and her family. She's not here today to celebrate with us because she's being a mom, and that's even more joyous than anything we can do at today's meeting. Director Kutz, is there anything you want to add to put a final punctuation mark on the budget process this year?
Thank you, County Manager O'Connor. I just want to thank the board for first 2-year budget and for supporting me and my team and all the work that we did together as a team. This is a hard budget, as some commissioners have noted, but it's also a budget we should be proud of that stays aligned with our strategic priorities and where we're going as Ramsey County and as a community. And I am very proud to be part of it. So thank you for letting me be part of this process. And I look forward to implementing this budget with all of you over the next couple of years.
Thank you. 2 other updates. As frequently one of the questions I know we all get asked a lot is around like, what does the ARPA investment tangibly mean on the ground? What do these investments from the federal government look like? And in today's agenda, item 3 around violence prevention shows what it looks like. It shows the number of people being asked to come and be a part of our work. It shows a beefing up of our workforce at the frontline levels of where moments in which people are in need meet moments in which government can be there in partnership with community to support. And I think these are very important investments to be made. We talked some about the affordable housing investments. They're units that would not otherwise be built, but for those funds being put into this work. And last week, it represented the first investment in workforce dollars, which involves staff and dollars to support the idea that our workforce and employment needs in this community remain significant. These are those on the ground implementation moments, and in big dollar amounts and big initiatives that sometimes just gets lost. And it's important to continue to point out the on the ground realities of it, in that we are both scaling up in certain areas because of those federal funds, while also trying to constrain in many other areas to be as efficient as possible on behalf of the Ramsey County taxpayers. Finally, I want to highlight work with the chair that's been going on around planning for the potential federal civil rights trials that remain for 3 officers currently slated to occur in downtown St. Paul beginning in January at the federal courthouse. In work with the chair, we've been communicating the concerns about our service delivery across this organization that could be impacted, and the impacts would be significant. And we are doing our work with the district court to ask that they consider where that trial takes place, where it is best safe for the public, for it to take place, for the residents we serve, for the service delivery continuity that we need. This will be a conversation through the remainder of this year and into early next year. I understand that there are many factors that come into play in these decisions, but continuity of serving those in our community needs to be one of those factors, whether it be homelessness or financial assistance or workforce services. And simply the geographic location of the federal courthouse raises significant concerns for the county's ability to do the work it needs to do in a way that is safe for employees, for staff, for the community at large. And I know that the city of St. Paul has been in dialogue already with the district court about their concerns from the city municipal perspective. And we are trying to highlight from our perspective some of the other dynamics associated with this as well. With that, Madam Chair, that is County Connections today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the report and all of the incredible work. And congratulations to the Earl family on the new family member. Thanks to everyone. And now I would ask board members to allow us to spin around the table for quick updates. We really do have 3 additional meetings this morning to get to. And so I'm going to ask that they be brief, beginning with Commissioner Maris Castillo. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I just want to give a couple shout outs to some staff that have been working incredibly. All of our staff are dedicated, but as you know, we've had some extreme weather conditions in the last week with tornadoes last week, temperatures in the 60s plummeting to the 20s. And so our staff worked really quickly, Keith Lattimore and his team, to make sure that anyone who was outside was able to get inside and have shelter and indoor housing throughout the weather conditions, and really worked hard. And I just wanted to give a shout out to his team to continue to keep an eye on those things, and Judge Freed as well, who is working and paying attention to those weather conditions. And then I wanted to also give a shout out to Public Works, because as it is snowing again, we're having these crazy conditions. They are out moving and the plow drivers are going and our roads are staying clear. And I continuously get compliments that county roads are done first and well. And so just wanted to give a shout out to Public Works and their plow drivers as well. And hopefully soon they'll let me come and drive a plow and join them on that. A ride along. I highly recommend it. It's pretty awesome. And last, I know we're doing quick updates, but Madam Chair, I believe this is your last board meeting of the year as chair, and we'll have time to celebrate you in the new year, but wanted to just take a moment to say thank you for your leadership. Thank you for all you have done to lead this board through incredibly turbulent times and lots of nuances, and just wanted to take a moment to appreciate you in this year. And I'm excited about further celebration in the new year with you.
Thank you, Commissioner Maris Castillo. And we will have opportunity to celebrate your leadership as well in coming year. Thank you. I will call next on Commissioner McDonough.
No report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be brief, but I do, because this is our last meeting of the year, I do want to give some shout outs to just our amazing staff that have done such amazing work. And just to mention a couple of things, but first of all, I'm going to continue on with Commissioner Maris Castillo's gratitude to you, Madam Chair, for your leadership these last few years. You have brought us through some real turbulent times, as was noted, and we just appreciate you so much. So thank you for that. Also, as chair of the legislative committee and with my vice chair, Commissioner Maris Castillo, we've had, an amazing year. A hard year, because we know that our work is so dependent on our state and federal with state and federal participation, and we're not getting as much as we need. So today we did pass our legislative agenda and our state platform, and there was a lot of work that was involved in that. And then with our passing of our budget, we know that we need participation from our state and federal partners. So we're standing ready as a team of legislative work to continue that work, and we will continue that with our partners at AMC, our Association of Minnesota Counties, and our National Association. So with that, I want to give thanks to Jennifer O'Rourke, our director, and also Melissa Finnegan, who have just been tireless in their work in their legislative work. So thanks to all of you. Also, Madam Chair, just at the end of the year, so just note that we had a Minnesota Mosquito Control District annual meeting. We had our Metro Public Libraries meeting and our Law Library Board. And at NACO, we had Resilient Counties, Healthy Counties, and arts and culture. So everybody's meeting at the end of the year to just talk about our upcoming platforms and all the good work that we can do together. So with that, just thanks to all the staff who are doing such amazing work, our finance committee, parks, public works, everyone's been mentioning public health. I'm very excited about the early childhood work that we've got going. There's so much that we're doing, and just thanks to everyone for all their ongoing work.
Thank you very much, Commissioner McGuire. And I'll turn to Commissioner Ortega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say thank you to the Ramsey County family, not just the board and the staff, but also all the nonprofits that are part of our family that make our actions work out in the community. So thank you, and thank you to Tony for her service these last 2 years, very difficult times. Job well done, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Ortega. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, there have been a lot of meetings, and primarily mine have been all around the environment and climate change, from the EPA's Local Government Advisory Committee Healthy Communities Work Group, which I am vice chair of. We are focusing in on PFAS. The National Association, well, the Climate Action Team that I serve on as a representative of NACO, mostly talks about some of the ag issues and how that really has a huge impact on the environment. The NACO Resilient Counties Advisory Board, which Commissioner McGuire also sits on, always interesting information, too little time to get through all of it. And actually had a briefing on the Maplewood Parcels and Natural Resources study that we had done. So it just seemed like everything was the environment, and considering the tornadoes and everything else that had happened, and the changes in weather, I think it's probably appropriate that we are really focusing in on it, because we don't have a lot of time to make changes. Climate change is real, and all you have to do is look out the door and see that we need to make changes for our future generations and for us. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for that note. Yes, it is real. I will turn to Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you, Chair Carter. I'll just echo the appreciation to you and your leadership over the last 2 years. Thank you for keeping us steady and reflective during this really challenging period. And then I just want to thank the White Bear Township Board of Supervisors for inviting me out to their meeting on Friday to discuss their concerns around Contract City's arrangement with the Ramsey County Sheriffs, and then some other issues in the community. Always appreciate getting to chat with them, and hope they and all of our other community members have a gentle holiday season.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Fretham. I, for my part, will save my words of thanks and reflection until a next board meeting and even of review. Thank you so very much for addressing our updates quickly today. We have, following the county board meeting, a number of meetings, beginning with our Housing and Redevelopment Authority, which Commissioner Matas Castillo will convene, followed by our Regional Rail Authority, which Commissioner Ortega will convene. And then we will take a 10-minute break before our closed meeting for the purpose of the county manager's performance review. At noon, there will be a meeting of the County Courts Joint Committee, which a number of our commissioners attend. And then at 1:30, we have a link for a county board workshop on the Transportation Improvement Program, which Commissioner Ortega will convene. There is a public link on our website for that meeting. So we will go immediately into our Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting, and then into our Regional Rail Authority meeting. When we are done with those two, we'll take our 10-minute break before we convene in a closed meeting for the county manager's performance review. We will be back at 1:30 in the afternoon for our county board workshop on the Transportation Improvement Program. And with that, then, This county board meeting is now adjourned.